FOMO. My name is Patrick J. McGinnis, and I'm a FOMO Sapiens. And since you're here, I'm going to bet that you are too. And when you're like us and Monday comes around, you don't dread the new week. No, you wake up every Monday morning knowing that this week might just be the best one yet. This is FOMOnday, the snackable show that starts your week right with hot takes, life hacks, listener mail, and even some FOMO therapy. Hey there, FOMO Sapiens. Welcome to FOMOndays, best day of the week. I just want to preview. So on Thursday, we have a really good guest, Payal Kadakia, founder of ClassPass, which many of you probably have used. It is a huge company. One of the first, I believe, is the first unicorn founded by a South Asian woman. So nice job. And it was acquired this year by a competitor. And so anyway, it's a great story. And in the interview, we're going to talk about following your passion, how to actually, figure out your passions and use them in your business. And just out of coincidence, I get an email this week from a listener that is so relevant that I just was like, you need to come on the show and talk about, because I want to warm up the oven before we put Payal in there. Well, we're not going to put her in the oven, but you get my point. And so this topic is sort of very related. And so here is the email I got from listener Sergio Mario del Risco. He says, "Hey, Patrick, I'm Sergio del Risco, a Colombian FOMO Sapiens and a huge fan of your show." Oh, that's so nice. "You have really inspired me to stand out of the crowd and live an exceptional life. In the episode with Jeff Madoff," and actually it's Madoff, and he told me because Madoff is like you Madoff with the money like Bernie, and he's Madoff. "He asked for things that we were doing creatively and actually monetizing. Let me tell you my story." And so he tells me, and by the way, you can tell this guy's a consultant by day because it's very well organized with bullet points and everything. And so I was like, you have to come on the show. So with no further ado, directly from Bogotá, Colombia, we have Sergio del Risco, Sergio Mario del Risco. Sergio, ¿cómo estás?
Hey, Patrick, how are you? Pleasure to be here.
No, you have to say it in Spanish, man. Just kidding. How are you?
Estoy muy bien, Patrick. ¿Y tú qué tal?
Okay, bueno. Sí, estoy perfecto, ya. Okay, so tell us about what you do.
Okay, Patrick, I'm a consultant, but probably the way that I define myself is as a person who is in the quest for authenticity. When I was a little kid, my grandmother told me this story. She's from Cartagena in the Caribbean, and since she was in her 20s, she decided that she was going to design her own clothes. And the reason why she decided that is because she was going to be different from all the other women in Cartagena. So because she's a designer or anything, but it's because authenticity is a key principle in her life. And I was raised with that mentality. I was raised with that mindset, and authenticity has gone for me also a North Star.
That's really beautiful. And it is amazing, like the wisdom, right? I mean, the way people thought about the world all those years ago, sometimes it's made fresher than people think about it today. And so you're looking for authenticity, you're striving for authenticity. You also need to pay the bills. So by day, you're a consultant, but what do you do on the side with, your kind of endeavors that allows you to pursue this authenticity?
The idea that I have is that management consulting, as you've told, I'm a consultant, is a very traditional industry in many ways. And in some sense, it's an industry that's characterized by very fixed expectations on how a person should be. A person should be efficient, data-driven, a proficient communicator. So what I'm trying to do is to bring my full creative persona into the workplace, into my consulting work, in order to differentiate, in order to do what I call winning a premium on my creativity. If creativity is scarce in a context such as consulting, what I try to do is to put all my creativity into it in order to differentiate. So there are some practices that I put or that I execute in my day-to-day life as a consultant that I'm very happy to tell you about them.
FOMO. Yeah, let's hear about them, because I'm reading, right? You sent me a link that I read and I really like it. what does playing the guitar contribute to my day-to-day life as a consultant? And that's for the website, The Artian, which is cool. And that's like another episode that we did, actually, right? We talked about improvisation. And so, yeah, tell us about some of the practices that you developed, some things that maybe we could do ourselves.
Okay, great. So you mentioned the guitar. I am an amateur guitar player. I love flamenco music. And what I try to do is to bring practices and methods from the art world to everyday problem solving. As an example, and I think people in consulting or in other professional services industries will relate to this, I once identified that the team thinking was being caged by the fact of working on a slide deck. When you are working every day, and sometimes every night, on a PowerPoint deck, your thinking process starts to be determined by the fact that the output will be a PowerPoint deck. So once I identified that in a project, in a client engagement, what I did was that I proposed to the team to have a different working session where we did a brainstorm session with a very different format. Instead of having a PowerPoint deck in front of us, what I proposed was to do our brainstorming using a poem. I love decimas, which are 10-verse poems with a particular type of rhyme. And what I told the team was, let's put our ideas, all the team's ideas, in one decima. And I'm not saying that a decima or a poem is the best way to communicate business ideas. That's not my point. My point is, whenever you deviate from the standard process of doing something, which in consulting is building a PowerPoint deck, when you deviate from that, creativity tends to arise. And that's a particular example on how we do it.
So basically, roses are red, violets are blue. If you work with Sergio, he's going to expect a poem from you. I love that idea. It's funny. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine who's doing a presentation for his company on the metaverse. And so he decided to actually give the presentation from the metaverse, right? And it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, we have these established ways of doing things. And if you mix it up, not only is it fun and interesting and puts people sort of outside of their comfort zone, but you may have a very interesting, completely different results than you might have had. So that's really cool. Give us another example.
When I play the guitar, I have a very beautiful experience, which is that I imagine myself as being in a parallel universe. And in that parallel universe, I'm not Sergio del Risco, the consultant, but I'm part of the Gypsy Kings group, which is a very famous flamenco group. I love them. And that's very nice because that allows me to separate myself from the very fixed expectations that my industry has for me, for example, but also that I have for myself. Instead of imagining that that's a driven person, that efficient person, what I imagine is a fully creative Sergio Mario.
It's such a good point because, high performance people, a lot of people have coaches, right? And a big part of what you do is like visioning and kind of like not, thinking about yourself as winning the prize or, scoring the goal on the field or performing with the Gypsy Kings. And when you do that, you actually, you're in a better position to succeed. And the other thing that you said, it made me think as you're talking about this whole thing, and I think this conversation, like what we're really getting at here is like Sergio is a guy who will not be put in a box by some institution or by some job or by some industry. Like he is going to, like his grandmother, he's going to make his own clothes. He's going to take his own path. He's a total FOMO sapiens, which is like one of those things that has beat out of us by the institutions and the schools. And like, it's great to go to good schools. Yay. But over time, it's like if you lose touch with who you are, like what's the point of doing all these things? So that's super cool. I do want to ask you one question though. Some people just can't handle this kind of thinking. I imagine people are like, I don't want to do a poem or whatever, even though I'm sure you're very nice when you present it. So like, what do you do when people are like, Sergio, like you're just a weirdo. We've had enough of you. Like, how do you kind of deal with that kind of feedback?
Also things. First, I think I'm fortunate to work in an organization that promotes this kind of authenticity. For example, I told you that sometimes I bring the guitar every Friday. I'll say it again. I've told you, for example, that I bring the guitar some Fridays to the office and play by the end of the day in the terrace. My firm is okay with that thing. So that's the first part of an answer. And my takeaway or my call to action for the listeners would be to be in the quest of places where you can unleash who you are, where you can unleash your authenticity. The second part of my answer is related to results. When you are fulfilling the expectations that the organization has from you, that other people have from you, that gives you a space in order to unleash these kinds of differentiated, these kinds of out of the box or disruptive ideas.
You know what I love about you is that even in talking about creativity, you're a good consultant because you gave me the takeaway at the bottom of the slide, which is awesome. You're giving us takeaways, which is super amazing and really appreciate it. All right, Sergio, this is amazing. You surprised me. This is like way more than I could have ever asked for, and we get along. Tell us, for people who want to maybe learn more about you. Do you have like an Instagram or somewhere where you play the guitar or share your thoughts?
Yeah, you can follow me on LinkedIn. That's the place where I share my articles, my thoughts on these topics. But if you want to listen me playing the guitar, go to my Instagram, which is Sergio Mario DR.
Sergio Mario DR?
Sergio Mario DR. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best way to say it in English. But.
Listen, it's fine. It's fine. We get you. All right, everybody. I hope you get some Instagram followers. I'm going to go check out your playing. And if you have some thoughts, deep thoughts like Sergio, ping me. Send me a note at Let's Connect at Patrick McGinnis. Find me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis or on Twitter at PJ McGinnis. Hit me up. I'll tell you what. If you send me like a super organized, amazing, well-written email like Sergio and tell me what you think, maybe you can come on the show. All right, Sergio, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Patrick. It was a pleasure.
FOMO. If you like today's show, please be sure to rate it and recommend it to your friends. And as always, you can find me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis, on Twitter at PJ McGinnis, and on the web at FOMOsapiens.com or PatrickMcGinnis.com, where you can get all kinds of free resources to live a more decisive and entrepreneurial life. FOMO. Want more FOMO Sapiens and FOMOnday? Head over to FOMOsapiens.com, where you can listen to past episodes, learn more about the show, and find out how to advertise. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis and on Twitter at PJ McGinnis.